A question I get asked almost every single week. Mike, my mechanic tells me I need thousands of dollars worth of repairs on my car. Should I keep it or should I get rid of it? After 22 years of owning Urban Automotive in Oakville, as a shop owner and technician, my answer may surprise you. Because the most expensive car you'll ever own may not be the one that you're driving right now. So when a consumer asks me this, they're asking the wrong question. Should I repair it is not the question to ask. The question to ask is, what are my options? So as an example, a $4,000 repair sounds terrible. So there's 5 basic questions that I ask my clients when they come to me and tell me that they're looking to replace their vehicle or they're concerned about whether or not they should do this repair. First and foremost, any shop that you're dealing with should be able to tell you if the vehicle is structurally sound. That means, is the frame rotted? Is the subframe rotted? Do we have rocker panels that are rotted? Are there holes in the floor? That kind of thing is a game changer and end of game, actually. We would never recommend any major repairs be completed on a vehicle that has structural rot. Any ethical, honest shop would do the same. So first and foremost, simply ask, is the car structurally sound? If the answer is no, you've got your answer right there. Question 2 is this a repair or maintenance? So brakes are not a reason to replace a vehicle. Suspension is not a reason to replace a vehicle. Tires aren't a reason to replace a vehicle, and replacing a battery is not a reason to replace a vehicle. If you've got major sensors or timing chain issue or something mechanical that's going to take hours of labor and potentially the vehicle will still have issues down the road based on its age and mileage, that is a reason to consider replacing the vehicle. Question 3 is always, what is the cost of replacement? So if you're looking at just a basic around town vehicle, you can pick up a used vehicle and potentially have someone else's problems, because that's the old saying, people don't get rid of cars, they get rid of problems. So if they've traded in their vehicle, they're either fearsome that there's going to be issues with it down the road, or it's hit that 100,000, 150,000 kilometer range where people start to have to put money into it for maintenance and repairs. You're potentially buying problems, and that concerns a lot of people. So the devil you know in most cases is better than the devil you don't. If you've owned the vehicle for 10 years, it's been in your family, and you know that you've been doing maintenance on it, and you know that you've been driving it and it's been treated okay, for the most part, it's better to hang on to that rather than potentially get a vehicle that could cause you problems. Unless, of course, you're getting a vehicle with warranty, but that means that it's a newer, late model vehicle, which will cost you more. If we're looking to replace a vehicle that's $5,000, instead of putting $5,000 of repairs into your vehicle, it's more dicey. You've got more chance of there being more issues on that vehicle down the road, despite being fewer kilometers or slightly newer than the vehicle that you're looking to replace. Question 4 is, does the vehicle meet your needs? So, if you've owned the vehicle since you were first driving at 16, and it's a 2-door convertible, and you're now married and have 2 kids, okay, that changes things. If you're a young family and the family's growing, the kids are going to hockey, they're having to travel more, you're having to rely on the old family hauler a lot more, and you want more reliability, that changes the name of the game. If you're looking to downsize because now the kids have moved out and you don't need this big 7-seater minivan anymore, for the fuel, yeah, that changes the game as well. So these are all the questions that you need to ask yourself before you commit. The bottom line is there should be no purchase based on fear. So you should not be scared to have to leave your vehicle and purchase a new vehicle because of fear. It should be a decision that's thought out and well planned rather than just knee-jerk reaction. And the number 5 question that I ask people is, can you trust the vehicle? Because ultimately, that is, in most cases, the deciding factor. If you've had the vehicle in for several repairs at your shop and you just keep sinking money into it, in the back of your mind, you're going to realize, and in your heart, you're going to realize that this vehicle is a money pit and is going to cost you. And you just don't trust it. And whether or not the repairs have been done and they've been done correctly, you're still going to always have that in the back of your mind. So when you want to take that family trip across the US and do like Route 66 or go to the East Coast or travel to Montreal, in the back of your mind, you're going to be nervous about taking that vehicle. And if that's the case, once you've lost the trust in the vehicle, no matter what you do, you're not going to regain it. It will have let you down one too many times, and you will know that it's time to replace based on that. In my years of experience of owning a shop, the number one factor for most people that make decisions on their vehicle is based on emotion. So they've inherited the vehicle from a family member or a loved one. It was dad's car. They have a feeling that dad would want them to do the repairs. Dad would want you to do the right thing. Dad wouldn't want you to necessarily do the repairs if the car is not worth it. If the repairs exceed the value of the vehicle, any honest shop would tell you, do not invest in this vehicle. The bottom line is, and I tell my customers this time and time again, it's my job to wake up in the morning to make money, but I have to be able to sleep at night. And that's how I run my business. If it's not worth repairing, you should not do it. And I'll share with you an example. I purchased a farm truck myself. That's me. Purchased a farm truck a few years back. It was a 94 Chevrolet K2500. That's a 3/4 ton big pickup truck. Extended cab, 8-foot box, 4x4. Meant for the farm. That's what I told my wife. Bought it for $2,500. Brought it to my shop, started to put money into it. A lot of money. Went to replacing body panels, doing full body work on it. Ended up replacing the engine after 1 year. I kept the vehicle for 6 years, but in that time frame, I put almost $40,000 of money into that vehicle. Was that a good decision? Was that the right decision? Looking back on it now, no, it really wasn't, because I let the emotion of, I love this truck is awesome, and I'm going to make it my daily driver. And I got the fancy rims, I got the lift kit, I went all out, put in a new engine, and the thing that finally did it in was the transmission. The transmission went, I had the transmission replaced, and it was then that I took my own advice. I have to stop sinking money into this. But not before the vehicle earned the nickname The Legend. And that story goes, we had done a pump-mounted driver on this diesel engine. It's the electronic controller that controls the fuel pump on the vehicle. And we had done some wiring because the old one had melted. And I got the vehicle home to the fuel station down the road from me. I filled up with fuel. And of course, the vehicle would not start. An issue with the pump-mounted driver again. Something was wrong. Obviously, the vehicle wasn't getting fuel. This is after I shut it off, filled up, go out, hop in, truck will not start. So I call CAA again. The CAA driver comes, and for those Americans, it's AAA watching, but here it's the Canadian Automotive Association. So this guy pulls up, and it was cold. It was the winter time. And he pulls up in his Ford, and he comes hopping out, and he goes, "Oh, I love towing Chevys. I love towing Chevys in my Ford." And he looks up, and he stops. And he looks at me, and he looks at the truck, And he says, "Oh my God." And I said, "What, buddy?" And he's like, "This is the Legend." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "Dude, this truck is legendary. I know that I'm about to tow this truck to Oakville, and I'm about to get $20 cash from you to tow it to your shop to fix it, because this truck is talked about at CAA through our group, our tow group, about what a great guy you are and how friendly you are, and towing the Legend back to Oakville to fix it." And it was at that point I realized that I needed to take my own advice, that this truck had to go. It was an issue. And it took that story to come to realize it's time to replace this truck. As much as I loved it, it had to go. So we're dealing with emotion more than anything. Had another client with a vehicle that they inherited from their father. Same situation. We brought the vehicle in. Subframe's completely rotted on this vehicle. It's a Honda. Once the rust starts, it's not going to stop. We cannot suggest that you do the repairs on this vehicle. Please don't invest any money in this vehicle. Let it go. It's still a hard sell. They still are considering doing the repairs on this vehicle, despite us saying it is not in your best interest to exceed the value of the vehicle, which is what you're looking at doing. Despite it, they're still considering it. Had an owner with a BMW, loves the vehicle. Suspension repairs, oil leaks, all kinds of issues with this vehicle. We're going to exceed the value of the vehicle. I can't let you invest the money in doing these repairs. It is against my ethics. I can't allow you to do these repairs. I need them done. I want to get them done. I love this car. You're welcome to take the vehicle to somewhere else. Chances are there's a shop out there that will do the repairs, but mine is not one of them. It's as simple as that. You've been a customer of mine for a number of years. I want to keep that trust. I'm telling you, once you start opening up a can of worms and you start doing these oil leak repairs, there's going to be more. There's going to be more with the vehicle. You've breached 200,000 kilometers on a 2013 BMW. You're at the point. It's going to exceed the value. This is not a Barrett Jackson mobile that you can take from place to place and show off and put it into shows. This is a daily driver, and you'd be better off taking the $6 or $8 grand that you're looking to invest in this thing in repairs and put it towards a new vehicle. Trade it in, flip it, get rid of it now. You know what's going on with it. Do not deal with it. Let it become someone else's issue. Let the dealer handle it. You need to get out of this vehicle. Again, the emotions are there. My kids learned on this, and there's a lot of memories in this vehicle. Get beyond the emotion and realize that there's a time that you need to call a spade, and that if we're going to invest money that exceeds the value of the vehicle, just don't. It's not the right answer. And on the flip side of all that, we have clients that come in that need brakes all around, tires, and general maintenance. The bill comes to $5,000, and that's the estimate, and they panic and say, nope, I'm going to go out and buy a brand new car. So now instead they have an $850 a month monthly payment, and on top of that, they didn't calculate the new insurance that would be added onto the vehicle because it is a new vehicle. So they have to get the full insurance because it's going to be payments. So it's got to be covered by the bank. So you need full collision. So that adds another $150 a month in cost of insurance on that as well. And let's not forget that the bank likes to make money. So there's interest on that. So the total interest over the loan is $8,000. So your total cost of operation for that vehicle, not including fuel, is $60,000 for the term of the loan. So you're paying for the next 5-6 years, some case 7 or 8 years, $60,000 over a $5,000 repair that would have given you an additional 2 or 3 years out of a perfectly fine vehicle. We've seen that side too. That's just not smart. So your goal shouldn't be to keep your vehicle forever. The goal isn't to buy a new vehicle. The goal is to make the smartest financial decision for you and your family at this point in time. That may mean replacing the vehicle. That may mean repairing the vehicle. So I guess the short answer is, do I need to replace my vehicle? It depends. But again, this decision should never come out of fear. It should come out of smart planning and asking the right questions to your technician at the time of pickup for the vehicle to say what we've talked about here. Is the vehicle structurally sound? Are we worth investing? What's my financial situation? Do I want the burden of additional costs? And if you do decide to get a new vehicle, always check with your insurance first based on the vehicles that you're looking at. So if you're looking at an SUV, give them a selection of different vehicles, that different makes and brands that you're looking at, and they will tell you quite openly which ones are more expensive for insurance than not. So that is some solid advice as well that you can take from old Mike. So what's the biggest repair estimate you've ever been given? And what did you decide to do? Love to hear it in the comments. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach out anytime through our website, through the Ask Mike section. If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure you subscribe, follow, and share with someone else who loves cars as much as you do. And as we always say here at Urban Automotive, safety first, because when it comes to your vehicle, you ought to know. Thanks for watching.